Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining our iStaging talk today. My name is Stefan, and today's webinar is actually a bit of an exclusive talk for all of our partners. So some of you have recently signed up, and some of you might have joined us a little while ago. And it allows us to go a little bit more in depth about what's next and some other stuff that I want to share with you. Today. Now, most of you are probably active in different industries and you're in totally different territories, maybe on opposite sides of the world. But that makes us really interesting because it enables us to basically learn from each other, right? Not just iStaging to partner, but also partner to partner, which is something that we saw when we actually hosted a global partner event at our head office in Taipei. We saw a lot of good sharing experiences and success cases and what has worked and what has not. So I want to encourage you to put your ideas and your thoughts into the chat on the right side of your screen. Now, there was a little bit of trouble early on with uploading my presentation to the software. So what we decided to do is sharing my screen instead and going through the presentation that way. The only drawback there is that I will not be able to see the chat while I'm talking, but my colleague Andrea will be able to help you out. And towards the end of the webinar, again, I'll go through some questions and other things that you guys might have said. So give me a sec so I can share the screen with you. I hope that you can all hear me okay and see me all right. All right. Okay, I think that you guys should see my screen right now. I hope that, let me see, I think that we should be good at the moment. So let me go to the presentation right here. Okay, very good. So what are we going to talk about today? Today's topics, number one, a little bit about the preparation. We want to make sure that you're fully set and ready to go out there. Then a little bit of information about a sales pitch. We'll go through success cases, things that have worked and things that might have not worked so well. And I want to finalize or finish up, conclude by reminding you of two important points: customer service and hardware. I hope I'm able to sort of do this in about 15 minutes. And then afterwards, we'll have time for questions and maybe a bit of a discussion. I will not be able to cover everything today about these specific topics. So I hope that you guys can steer the conversation a little bit as well towards the end, so we can focus more on what you guys are currently doing. So let's start with preparation, first of all. A couple things here. Number one, when you get started, make sure that your account is set up, all right? That you've got your iStaging account, that you have created some live tours, virtual tours. We can actually share some virtual tours with you by copying them into your account, but it would be better if you try this out yourself, and having some local tours is obviously the best way when you actually go out and talk to people about it. So make sure that that's all settled. Then you should have received a file or an email with a link to a file with marketing material, all right, including PowerPoint presentations and tutorials and videos. When we talk about the PowerPoint presentations, you might want to adapt them or localize them in your local language if it's not English. Also, make sure in that email you should also receive your tracking sheet so that you can actually track, the customers that sign up through your landing page. Very important, because based on that sheet, we will pay out commissions. And then number 4 is the solutions. Are you sure that you know everything there is to know about the solutions? Do you feel confident enough to actually go out there? Do you know the features, what is possible, what is not, the pricing, things like that. Make sure that that's all, you're aware of all of those things as well. If you're still a bit unsure, this is the time to sort of ask, all right? And Andrea can help you out there. And number 5 is sort of the local market, the competitors. Like, have you sort of analyzed and looked at who you're competing with locally? There are some of our competitors that are global companies, in different markets, but they're also local companies. And make sure that you know what they are up to, what they're doing, what they're offering, their pricing. So in case that ever comes up in a conversation, that you know what to say. An important thing. So these 5 things are sort of the core of getting started. Now, once you've done this, then we can get into more detail about, actually talking about your sales pitch. So that's what I want to do now. And a sales pitch, talking about a sales pitch is a little bit tricky. It's a bit challenging because it depends on a lot of different things. All right. Number one is, who is it that you're talking to? All right. Are you talking to an individual? Are you doing a sort of a group presentation? Are you talking to a real estate agent or a real estate broker, a retail shop owner, or even a CEO of a large organization? Right. There are all of these different possibilities. And just to give you an example, a real estate agent and a real estate broker, they look at the same solution completely differently, right? Even though they might technically be part of the same office. So it's really important that you know who it is and what they sort of care about and what position they are in the organization or in the company. All right. But most importantly, and this is definitely crucial, is why have they taken the time to talk to you? All right. What's the reason that they want to sit down? What is their core need? All right. And the only way to figure this out is to ask questions. And so what I usually do is I prepare them in advance, because if I have to ask all those questions and I come up with them on the spot, you usually forget something, or you always go back and say, oh, I should have asked that. So do that first. And the more you get your prospect or your potential client to talk, the more power you eventually have to sort of convince them or persuade them with your pitch. Something that I've struggled with, and sometimes still do, is starting to talk about the solutions, without really asking questions, because it's comfortable, right? It's comfortable to talk about what you know and what you want to say, and there's so much to say. But you can instantly lose, the attention or, the potential sale by not focusing on what is important to them. And most of the time, there's only, 1 or 2 things that are absolutely crucial to them for ultimately to pull them over the line to actually get that sale. So that's, that's the key, figuring out what that core need is. And once you've done that, you have the ammunition to start persuading them. And during your sort of pitch, then all you need to do is focus on the value that those 1 or 2 things bring, right? The solution has tons of things, or there's so many different, value propositions and points. But if you can just focus in on those 1 or 2 things that they might find most important, that's where you can actually win the sale. You can almost sort of consider it a game, right? How can I get you to tell me what is most important to you? What are the most important aspects of the solution? And there are a couple of examples here. All right. So, for example, when we talk to clients in real estate, if we talk to a realtor or real estate agent, what always comes up is branding, right? Branding of the virtual tour. Can I, put up my logo, and where can I do that, and my contact information, and any other type of branding possibilities, and also the possibility to unbrand the tour, to have an unbranded tour in case that they want to upload it to a platform that requires that. So if we then, sort of focus in on that has actually led to closing some deals. The same goes in the automotive industry. We actually had a client in the automotive industry that was really, really intrigued by touring. So 95% of that whole conversation was about touring. Capturing and editing didn't even really come up. So it really just shows that if you know what it is that they really want, you can talk about the value that it brings them and keep reiterating that, throughout the conversation, that ultimately, can get them over the line. So, make sure that we bring something to the table that ultimately helps them achieve their goals. That might sound a little bit abstract, and I don't want to make it more complicated than it really is. Sometimes, or most of the time, it's really just asking, right? Just what, if you had to choose, what are the 2 most, 1 or 2 most important features or aspects of the solution for you guys? And once you ask the question, you just keep your mouth shut, right? You just wait and let them talk. And it's okay if they need to think about it, if they're not entirely sure. I also noticed, a silence of, let's say, 3 seconds seems really long, but the more you get them to talk, the more the better it ultimately is. Okay, what is also very important is something is time, like the time that you actually have with your prospect. Is it an hour? Do you have an hour at their office where you have the possibility to go into a lot of depth? Do you have 10 minutes or do you just have a minute? You know, if you're, for example, at a trade show, then you literally have 30 seconds to catch their attention. And if you're interesting enough, they might give you an additional 30 seconds, you know, but it has to be really, really quick. And I've actually done quite a few of these trade shows, and some of them were specifically for real estate. So we knew when we were there at our booth exactly who was going to come and visit us. So it was either a real estate agent or a real estate broker. So we had our 1 minute pitch prepared. Okay, it consisted of three things. Number one was a finished live tour. We had a monitor with a finished live tour next to us where we can show, okay, this is a virtual walkthrough. Obviously, some of them knew what that was. Others hadn't actually seen that before. They were, oh, okay, yeah, that's a cool thing. Second thing was the capture. How do I get to this result? So we had a tripod next to us with the rotator, the smartphone, and the lens. The app was open, and all we needed to do was press the capture button, and it would start rotating. And that's where their eyes went, oh my goodness, I can create this with that. And that was in the initial 30 seconds. And then in the last 30 seconds, or the second half of the minute that they basically give you, we gave them the offer, right? We had a trade show offer. So if you sign up today, you get this and this and that. A couple of months, you can try this out, for $100, for example. And that was not, it was an amount that they were willing to spend, after listening for about a minute. And sometimes there were some questions afterwards, but it was extremely successful. We generated approximately 50 new clients in under 3 hours. And at some point, there was even a line of people waiting to sign up, and that obviously generated more interest because people would look at the booth and say, what is going on there? I need to go and see what that is, right? I guess crowds draw even more crowds. And the craziest thing was, that people would actually talk to each other afterwards. Once they've bought, the solution, they went away, and then they talked to each other at the conference. And we had people coming back to the booth that then said, well, I had a colleague that said I had to come and see you guys and to check you guys out because you had a cool solution to show us. Craziest one was a younger real estate agent, that was obviously a little bit more tech savvy, that heard it from a friend. And after 10 seconds, I think I got 3 sentences out of my mouth. She said, yeah, we're good. Sign me up. Right? That was it. And that sort of recommendation or that testimonial basically, did it for her. Like she was convinced. So also something to keep in mind. Okay, a quick note on pricing here. Now, with the new pricing model, right, the pay by usage, it should enable you to generate more clients quickly because it is so affordable. And even though you ultimately will focus on, getting them onto an annual plan, it's totally fine to get them started with a pay by usage plan. You get more clients, they try it out, they understand the value, and that ultimately allows you to upsell to an annual plan or some other solutions that we might offer. And a lot of it, I think almost all industries also have higher volume clients, right? Higher volume, you could consider 25 to a decent volume, especially if you talk to an individual, but in the photography business, in the real estate business, in tourism, retail, there are always clients that, need a higher storage than just 3 live tours for the pay by usage. Okay. Now I want to go into some success cases or things, let's say, that have worked for us in the past. Now, I want to mention that this might not all be applicable to you, to your industry, it just doesn't always match. But I just want to give you some ideas today. So let's talk first a little bit about real estate and then a little bit about some other industries. Number one is being able to connect with an industry association. So a real estate association, for example. We've done that in New Zealand, in Malaysia, in the US, we've done that. And what it does is it does 2 things. Number one, it can get you awareness, right? So they can send out messages to their entire database and generate awareness. And number 2, it instantly gets you a level of trust. Okay, builds a level of trust with a potential client, because there are lots of people out there that haven't heard of iStaging before. And if you can say that you work closely with an association or an association that they are a part of, then they immediately feel more comfortable and are probably more open to hear what you have to say. Doesn't only have to be in real estate. You also have associations, the AR/VR associations, technology, or in hospitality, or photography associations. Find the ones that are, that you believe are valuable in your local territory. If you're in an area where people are more likely, or your clients are more likely to shoot the tours themselves, what you could do is host training sessions. That's what some of our partners have done before, right? So, and right now, these training sessions are most likely online, just because of the global health crisis. Hopefully, in the not too long from now, we'll be able to do that face to face as well. So that's something you can do. If you're a photographer, let's say a real estate photographer, then you're already offering services to your clients, right? And you're probably already creating tours for them and charging them for that. Now, what you can do additionally is then sell them accounts. So not just shoot the tour, but then sell them an account. Why? Number one, they have then control over the account. Number two, it frees up your own account, so you don't have to host that many tours. You basically just transfer the tour from your account once you've created it to the account of the client. And number three, they can then use touring themselves. If you don't transfer, if they don't have their own account, then they would not be able to use touring. Excuse me. And in the past, this was a bit of a challenge to sell accounts, on top of your service charge or your service fee, because maybe the plans that were available at that point, having to purchase 10 or 25 at a time, they would go, oh, why do I have to buy that many, on top of paying you for creating the tour? But now with the pay by usage plan, it's so affordable. It's just $5 a month, so cheap that this opens up that possibility to not only make money from just your service, but also from the commissions that the accounts then bring. All right, so that's the third thing. And number four, what you can do is connect with franchises. All right, real estate franchises, for example, connect with corporate offices and local offices. So the corporate office, talking to the CTO, often that person is willing to listen to you. They're always interested in learning about new technologies. I do have to say here that you will have much more sway with a corporate office or a CTO if you've actually signed up some clients already. We've tried that before, going directly to the head office, and often they would go, okay, come back to me when you've signed up this many, or when you have feedback from clients or from our employees. So if you get like 5 or 10 officers on board, and at the same time connect with the corporate office, ultimately, it'll start getting their attention, and there are more possibilities. They're willing to help you out, promoting it, or maybe even setting up meetings for you. So another possibility there. Besides real estate, obviously in automotive, retail, and tourism, virtual tours are really, really valuable, and specifically in these industries, there are two things that are really key, and those are the tags and touring, right? So tags in a retail store, being able to tag products that then link to an e-commerce store, for example, where you can purchase the product. In an automotive showroom, creating a virtual tour of a showroom, and the inside of panoramas inside of a car that you can then inside of the car add all of those tags and show all of the features. We recommend that you create some of them and actually show them. If you just talk about it, now I know that you guys know what I'm talking about, but when you talk to a client, they might not be able to visualize, right? Maybe they're just not as creative. You can actually get really creative in virtual tours that can keep potential visitors really engaged. But if you can show them how that works, that's a big plus. Okay, then I want to finish with 2 points. Number one is customer service. As you know, we have a customer service team that is always there to ready to back you up whenever you need them, back up your clients. We're happy to answer any questions from them related to the product or their account. But there is probably a time difference between our team here and where you guys are located, and that means that if you handle your clients locally or answer their questions, that ensures the fastest response by far. And it enables you to learn a little bit more about their needs, which we've established is really key. And you can then ultimately upsell more solutions. But again, even if they contact us directly, we will make sure that they get an answer within 24 hours. But in some cases that might not, people are impatient, might not be fast enough. So we just wanted to let you guys know. And the second thing is hardware. As if you've actually chosen our standard packages on your landing page, that means that that there's no hardware included in those packages. And maybe you've chosen customized pricing plans and you included hardware. That would be great. But if you haven't, then clients can go to the portal anyway and purchase hardware there. Important note, this is only available to paying customers, so people that actually have an iStaging account already. We don't want to sell just hardware to people because we're not a hardware focused company. We're software, and if they need specific hardware anyway, they could probably go somewhere else. But the rotator kit, for example, or a Rico Theta and Insta360 is available in the store in the portal once you log in. Okay, this was about it. This is about all that I wanted to talk about today. So what I'm going to go do is go back to the main screen and see if you guys had any questions. Stop sharing my screen here. Here we go. All right. I see that I've gone a little bit over time. I said 15 minutes. We're over 20 minutes now. Let's see. Let me check with Andrea if there were any questions. Do you have a demo of virtual tour like a winery or a brewery? Ooh, that's a good question. I think I have seen one before. Yes. So, yeah, let us check, Alberto, and then we can get back to you and maybe even share it. Yes. So we'll check, definitely. It should be available somewhere. We have many virtual tours in our database that have been created. Thanks. Can iStaging provide a smartphone compatibility checker? Yes, we actually can. That should be available on the website. Now I have to look at Andrea just to be 100% sure. We actually used to have a compatibility checker that enabled you to put in your your specific smartphone model, and it would tell you if it would work with the app. So that actually, if you go to iStaging.com, maybe at the bottom, if it's not there, then I'll check if we can get it back in a way. But that is definitely a good thing to have. Absolutely, Marika. Thanks for that question. I do have to say that if you have a new smartphone, relatively new of the last 2 years or something like that, it should be, I think 95% of the smartphones should work, but there might indeed be one or a couple models that might be tricky. So let us check on that, and we'll get back to you. You will get to Andrea for the video demos. Yeah, that's totally fine. We'll probably in the next couple of weeks do more webinars like these. Today was a little bit more about getting out there and sales and thoughts on sales and some ideas on what has worked and what has not. In the future, maybe we can talk about how to actually demo the product. If someone asks you, could you demo? Because using the product and actually showing a demo in real life are two completely different things. So that's also something that you have to sort of practice and learn. So that's maybe something in the future we could talk about, just to give you an idea of what might come. All right, thank you. Are there any further questions? I see some people typing in Spanish. I need to rely on Andrea for that. Anyway, yeah, I just wanted to say that I hope that you guys, enjoyed today's talk. And if I've given you just one or two ideas that you found helpful, that already things or would make me happy. How long is it taking for the hardware to arrive to the US? I understand it is being sent from the UK. I believe hardware usually within. I mean, it depends. This is a tricky time at the moment, right? So we have to be a bit careful. Most of the time, it should arrive within approximately 5 to 10 business days, for sure. If it's longer, then that probably has to do with the current, coronavirus, COVID-19. But yeah, definitely, if you haven't received it, within 5 working days. Check with us to see if we can see what the status of that particular shipment is. Yeah, the majority of them will definitely arrive within 5 to 10 business days for sure. Stripe as payment, or are you planning also things like PayPal? Okay, so right now it's the automatic sort of payments every month. That's we use Stripe as a payment software. PayPal can be used for separate, not our standard subscription things, but if they need any additional, specific bundle plans that you might be interested in during a flash sale, then sometimes we use PayPal. But at the moment, the majority is it's all Stripe. Let's see if there's something else. What's your opinion on the Zillow 3D Home app? That's a good question. To be honest, I'm not entirely capable of commenting on this right now because I haven't tried this particular app myself just yet. I've read something about it, but I can't entirely be sure how that works. I do believe, from what I've seen so far, that I think that our app is definitely a little bit more advanced than, it ultimately provides you with a better quality than what that particular app can offer you. But if you want more details about that, I'm going to have to come back to you, Dennis. All right. No problem. Good question. Especially if you're in the US and you're competing there. This is important stuff to know about. We obviously always try to keep up to date with what is going on, and in the industry, what's coming up and what kind of providers are there. Not just in the virtual tour space specifically, but anything sort of real estate technology related, or any type of VR, AR technology. But because there's so much going on, it is not always possible for us to check everything. So that's why I recommend that you definitely check your locally what's going on, right, with competitors and other providers, so that how to answer questions if they ever come up. So if there are any. I see that Andrea is asking you guys some further questions, but if there are no more questions, then I want to thank you very much for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed it, that you learned something. You're definitely going to see good. Yeah, you're definitely going to see more of us in the next few weeks and months. So stay tuned for that. And I see that Andrea is talking about the competitors and webinars about stuff like that. All right, wonderful. Anyway, thanks again. Have a great day. If you have any other questions later on, please do not hesitate to reach out to us, to contact us. and have a great second half of your week, and we'll talk to you guys soon. All right. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.